you some clips that I want to show you that it's on the YouTube, these various clips that are out there that people have shown and put up on YouTube showing boats disappear over the horizon, but some look like it and some don't. So let's take a look at them ourselves. Let's take a look at it. Are the boats really disappearing over the horizon or not? So before we do, we're live streaming right now. I'm going to wait for some people to join us, if anybody does, so we can look at those video clips together. While we're waiting, I'm going to play this little video for you here, and hopefully there'll be some people joining us to watch that. So while we're waiting for people to join us, let's check out this video, and hopefully we can check out those little videos together.
The Matrix is everywhere. It is all around us. Even now, in this very room, you can see it when you look out your window or when you turn on your television. You can feel it when you go to work. When you go to church. When you pay your taxes. It is the world that has been pulled over your eyes to blind you from the truth. You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
The one thing they fear is 300 million people coming together on one topic and saying, this makes no sense. We need answers. Why is the flat earth so important? Because it shows the deception. There are enough reasonable questions to create reasonable suspicion that we've been lied to. They can't afford to keep being asked. If, God forbid, everybody came and started demanding answers, and once they can't provide those answers, people realize they are busted. It can't be a mistake. It can't be anything but the deception and control mechanism it is. That is why they fear the flat earth. Flat earth is not a psyop. Flat earth destroys the psyop. Every psyop that's been used to control us. For as long as they've known about it. So this system has been in power and control for hundreds of years, ever since they convinced the rest of the world that they didn't know where they lived. They created this fantastical scenario to make people feel insignificant and to follow those that appear to know better. They're just better liars, deceivers, that have no conscience and will do everything and anything to everybody and anybody they can to keep that power. Because people are waking up. And no matter how much they try to suppress this flat earth movement, oh, it's going to keep moving one way or another. You can see it. People are waking up.
Their earth is indisputably not round.
Is it possible that these guys are using stage magic, tricks? Look over here. And is it possible that the world that we're living in has been misdescribed? I definitely know that the world that we're living in has been misdescribed to us and oversimplified, including the solar system model. It's been vastly oversimplified. It doesn't actually accord itself to the very accurate readings we can get today with our technology, right? Like they never predicted that it was going to come to this.
If you can't figure out what difference it makes that the people running your world of lies lied to you over and over your whole life. If you can't figure out what difference that makes, you're an idiot. And if everybody would just come together and demand answers, they would not know what the to do.
Why has nobody been to the moon in such a long time?
That's not an 8-year-old's question. That's my question. I want to know, but I think I know. Because we didn't go there, and that's the way it happened. And if it didn't happen, it's nice to know why it didn't happen. So in the future, if we want to keep doing something, we need to know why something stopped in the past that we wanted to keep it going.
And you can see the real location of the camera and the very bright and near Earth out the window.
10 or 11 years ago, I stated to various scientists that the moon is not a piece of rock, but it is plasma.
The Americans and Russians are thinking of landing men on it.
Oh, well, that will never happen, never happen, never happen.
Sometimes it's got something called a lunar wave. There are many videos showing the moon with a lunar wave. We don't know what that is. It's all a mystery.
Do you believe it could possibly land on it?
Absolutely not. You know, you've got a P900 camera now you can buy, and you can zoom in to the moon. It's supposed to be, by the way, 238,000 miles away in deep dark space. It's sometimes translucent. You can see through it.
Whether you believe we went to the moon or not, everybody believes that there's a debate about it, right? Now, if you really have an open mind and you want to get to the bottom of it, let's have an open mind. Let's get to the bottom of it, and let's take it to trial. First thing we got to do is examine the evidence. And the defendant, the government, says we destroyed all the evidence.
I'd go to the moon in a nanosecond. The problem is we don't have the technology to do that anymore. We used to, but we destroyed that technology, and it's a painful process to build it back again.
You destroyed the evidence? Why would you destroy all that precious evidence of the greatest achievement of mankind? These guys are they destroyed the evidence? Okay, it's on now. Yeah. It would be an open and shut case.
It's a painful process to build it back again.
You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
When you look up at the sun and moon, you see two equally sized, equidistant circles tracing similar paths at similar speeds around a flat, stationary Earth.
Rise up, look at that great cosmic light and think about it. That gets up in the eastern horizon every morning and moves across the sky with a kind of symphony of motion and paints its technicolor across the blue, a light that man could never make. They become so involved in thinking about man's progress, they forget to think about the need for God's power.
The experts at NASA, however, claim your common sense, everyday experience is false on all counts. To begin with, they say the Earth is not flat, but a big ball. Not stationary, but spinning around 19 miles per second. They say the Sun does not revolve around the Earth as it appears, but Earth revolves around the Sun. And the Sun is actually 400 times larger than the Moon and 400 times farther away. That's right. You can clearly see they're the same size and distance. You can see the Earth is flat. You can feel the Earth is stationary. But according to the gospel of modern astronomy, the Earth spins 1,038 miles per hour under your feet and revolves 67,108 miles per hour around the Sun. Copernicus calculated the Sun's distance from Earth to be 3,391,200 miles. The next century, Johannes Kepler decided it was actually 12,376,800 miles away.
Isaac Newton once said, "It matters not whether we reckon it 28 or 54 million miles distant, for either would do just as well." How scientific.
Science!
Benjamin Martin calculated between 81 and 82 million miles. The moon is actually a semi-transparent luminary and not the solid spherical desert planet that NASA would have us believe. In fact, it is likely that both the sun and moon are not densely physical at all, and are simply luminous flat disks able to pass by or through one another during eclipses. The sun and moon luminaries revolve around the Earth once every 24 hours for the sun and approximately 25 hours for the moon, illuminating like spotlights the areas over which they pass. The sun's annual journey from tropic to tropic, solstice to solstice, is what determines the length and character of days, nights, and seasons. What could be more common than the observation that, standing at one end of a long row of lampposts, those nearest to us seem to be the highest, and those farthest away the lowest. As we move along towards the opposite end of the series, those which we approach seem to get higher, and those we are leaving behind appear to gradually become lower. It is an ordinary effect of perspective for an object to appear lower and lower as the observer goes farther and farther away from it. Let anyone try the experiment. The apparently uprising surface of the Earth upon or over which it stands will converge to the angle which constitutes the vanishing point or the horizon, beyond which it will be invisible. Heliocentrists would have you believe the very opposite of what every human who has ever walked the Earth has seen with their own eyes. It is obvious to any child and sovereign-minded adult that the sun, moon, stars, and planets, every light in the sky above, revolves around the motionless Earth beneath our feet. It is also plain to see that the sun and moon are both approximately the same size and situated relatively close to Earth, not 400 times divergent and millions upon millions of miles away. To abandon your senses and everyday experience in favor of such unfounded science fiction fantasies is a fallacy of appeal to authority so extreme that it leaves the brainwashed believer impotent to trust his own natural instincts and forever thereafter chained to the fantastical explanations of astronomical charlatans.
Timon! Yeah? Ever wonder what those sparkly dots are up there?
Pumba. I don't wonder. I know.
Oh? What are they?
They're fireflies. Fireflies that got stuck up in that big bluish black thing.
Oh, gee. I always thought they were balls of gas burning billions of miles away.
Who told you something like that? What mook made that up?
Yeah, pretty dumb, huh?
Oh, you're killing me.
It's maybe the night that my dreams might let me know all the stars are closer, all the stars are closer, all the stars are closer. It's maybe the night that my dreams might let me know all the stars are closer, all the stars are closer, all the stars are closer.
To stay fixed in their constellation patterns night after night, year after year, century after century, never changing their relative positions. If Earth was truly a tilting, wobbling, spinning space ball, as NASA and modern astronomy proclaim, the star patterns would never look the same 2 nights in a row, let alone be fixed in exactly the same constellations for thousands upon thousands of years.
Maybe the night that my dreams might let me know all the stars are closer, all the stars are closer, all the stars are closer. Maybe the night that my dreams might let me know all the stars are closer, all the stars are closer, all the stars are closer.
I want to talk about flat Earth. And I notice things like when you search it in a search engine, all you get is misinformation. You don't even get real critical thought on it. Well, I saw the blanket censorship, which tells me there's truth to it. Tells me that they're panicking. They're in panic mode, and they don't want us to have real tangible information. More importantly, they don't want you to think critically about it. See, we're in the information age, and this is what the tactic is. This is why Logan Paul just did a video on flat Earth. It's why Shane Dawson just did a series of videos. It's to discredit the real truth. It tells me that there's something here that they don't want you to know. It tells me that mainstream science, NASA, and more importantly, our government powers are panicking. So they're hiring through the same companies that they own, because there's only 6 companies, by the way. If it's a wild conspiracy theory, why do they need to discredit it? If it's a wild conspiracy theory and it isn't the truth, and no one's going to believe it because they're smart enough to think on their own, why do they need to discredit it? Why do they need, and these same people, keep in mind, Logan Paul, Disney is the parent company. I'm pretty sure he gets a check from Walt Disney. Why would they then put out these misinformation campaigns? I mean, ask yourself these logical questions. I think we know the answer, and I think we know the reason. Is it possible that we're living in that Truman Show today? We're living on the flat Earth with the dome, the firmament. As we start to look around us, we start to wake up, our eyes open, maybe that third eye opens, we start to understand, wow, this isn't what I thought it was. Maybe instead of being a worthless blob of goo that came from nothing and then developing into apes that were oohing and ahhing and then eating bananas like a bunch of idiots, maybe instead of that, we actually are the center of the universe. Maybe we are special. In fact, maybe there is unbelievable evidence of creation, but the government has decided to hide that from you. Why? Why is there so much misinformation? Why is there a giant disinformation campaign going on right now when it comes to things like flat Earth? Are my eyes lying to me? Or can I trust what I'm actually seeing? But Christopher, the Earth is a globe. I was told that when I was 1 year old. They said, look, this is a globe. Isn't it interesting? It's one of the first things that you're actually taught. The Earth isn't flat, it's a globe. Even though for hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of years, they thought that the Earth was flat. Oh, but Christopher, we have all these images of outer space that show that the Earth is a sphere. Really? Where do the images come from? NASA. Oh, you mean the same NASA that is our government, our secretive breakaway government that hasn't been back to the moon since the 1960s. That NASA? Have you ever seen it with your own eyes? How come none of the electronics account for curvature of the Earth when you're flying a plane? None of the engineering of bridges and train tracks, buildings, all kinds of infrastructure that goes for miles and hundreds and maybe thousands of miles, none of it accounts for, in its actual engineering blueprints, for the curvature of the Earth. I mean, if I was building a giant bridge of hundreds of miles, wouldn't I have to account for the curve? Or is it possible there's not a curve and that we've been lied to for a reason?
Everybody in this room was taught the story of how Columbus went before Queen Isabella of Spain and he was going to prove to her that the world was round. The globe. So this world is round story is 100% bullshit. It's total fiction. Yet how did our grandparents learn this? We learned this? Our grandchildren are probably going to learn this. How come? because history is pop culture. And that dude who jumped out of a perfectly good balloon, what's his name? Felix Baumgartner, Edge of Space jump. But the honesty of it would greatly diminish what I think people thought he was actually doing. And not only that, they made sure to photograph him standing there with a really wide-angle lens, which curves horizontal lines. You see this curvature of Earth's surface, and he said, wow, he's in space, look at that. No, he's not.
It's almost overwhelming. When you're standing there in a pressure suit, the only thing that you hear is yourself breathing. You can see the curvature of the Earth. You can see the sky is totally black.
At that height, you don't see the curvature of the Earth. You just don't. That stuff is flat.
You can see the curvature of the Earth.
You don't see the curvature of the Earth.
You can see the curvature of the Earth.
You just don't. That stuff is flat.
With a really wide-angle lens, which curves horizontal lines. Really wide-angle lens, which curves horizontal lines. With a really wide-angle lens, which curves horizontal lines.
Scientists wrote that the Earth is flat.
Look out. See the horizon flat. Feel for yourself. You're not moving. Just sit still. Just sit still for a second. You're not moving. You're not spinning around an axis at 1,000 miles per hour. Rotating around the sun at 67,000 miles per hour, spiraling around the galaxy at 500,000 miles per hour, and shooting off from a Big Bang at 67 million miles per hour. You're not. You're motionless. You're just sitting there. sit still? What does that even mean, sit still? You think you could sit still with all those motions? Does it feel like you're moving? Feel that? Same thing you've always felt? Nothing? Ever? Nobody's ever felt movement. Nobody's ever seen the earth move. Nobody's ever seen the earth curve. Maybe you just got fooled by some Masons. Mark Twain said, "It's easier to fool people than to convince them they've been fooled." That's why it's so hard to convince you you've been fooled.
Okay, so anyway, I was on earlier. We did a Bible study on the flat earth thing, and I did not finish showing the videos that I talked about. So I came back on to show the video clips on YouTube of the boats and stuff going over the horizon. So I'm going to finish that up, and then we're going to be done with this subject for a while. You can go to my website and find videos about it, flat earth. WeAreTheLastGeneration.com. Anyway, let's take a look at some of these video clips on YouTube about people videotaping boats going over the horizon, and ask ourselves, what does it look like, and why is it doing that, and how are they able to make it look like that? And then let's take a look at some other video clips that they have on YouTube where you can actually zoom in miles and miles out and see the boat is actually still there. And it's not gone at all. So let's start with this one right here. Now this one is a boat beyond the curve. And let's see what it shows. So you see, the further out it gets, the more down into the, it seems to disappear into the horizon line. And that is an optical illusion, not a fact of reality. It's what the eyes see. So let's take a look at the next one here. Second one. Now you can see the bottom of that boat. You literally can see the bottom of that boat where it's touching the water. It's not like down, you know what I mean? It's right on the top. So let's see how far it zooms away here. 12 miles, that's 20 miles. You're not supposed to be able to see, let's do that. We're gonna do the calculator in a minute, but like 10 miles out, it's like 66 feet high. I'll show you in a calculator in a minute. Something that's 66 feet tall, you can't see at 10 miles out. Yet you can see that boat at 10 miles out. Now, you have to have a clear day. You have to have good weather. You have to have a good camera with a very powerful lens in order to really see it, because with bad weather, bad cameras, bad film, you can make it look like the boat's disappearing over the edge. That's the trick with this whole thing, is that it can look like the boat's disappearing over the edge. That's what got me for years and years and years, because I saw the boat going out over the edge. I saw it with my own eyes, right? Okay, let's take a look at the third one I got here. Now this one's called Boats Don't Disappear Behind the Curve. can see how, I mean, I don't know what this video is about. Let's go to the next one.
Hi everybody, welcome to this timeline documentary.
Now this one says mirage of a passenger boat disappearing behind the horizon. Now take a look at some of this real slow. You see this dark line coming across this way? That's atmospheric density, moisture, and whatever else causes these dark shadows that are above the atmosphere. You can see one coming across this way, and there are multiple layers like that, and they come and they go, and they appear and they disappear, and they can literally cover the image. Watch it cover that boat. But see how it just, now the boat's got a gap below it where it's like raised above the water, and it's got a clearness right above it. Right here you can see how clear it is. You don't even see the bottom of the boat anymore, but yet you still see the top of it. What is it, floating now? So this is the eye tricks that are played on you at the horizon level, especially on cloudy, moist days where the atmosphere is got stuff going on in it. So that's some of the trickery that's going on with the boats at the horizon level. And see, it just disappeared into that shadow. You can still see it's so far out there, and you're not able to zoom in through all the atmospheric stuff that it looks like it's literally disappeared into the horizon. And you can still see the top of it right there a little bit. Let's go to the next one here. Okay, let's see what this says. If you are standing on a beach and a sailboat is heading away from you, it will follow the curve of the earth, according to this video. Eventually, it will follow that curve to a point where it will start to dip under your line of sight, blocked by the horizon. As the distance increases, less and less of the ship will be visible. The following video is an example of this and evidence for a round earth. Now, this video is going to show us the optical illusion. It's an illusion of a boat going over and around the edge. And this is what most people buy into and what most people believe. But it is an optical illusion and a trick that can be explained. What they don't show you though on these particular types of videos is that if you have a powerful enough camera and the day's clear enough, you can zoom in miles and miles and miles, and you can pull that boat right back up into focus, and it's still right there on the top of the surface. Let's go to the next video here. Let's see, observations. Here's another trick, optical illusion here. Let's check this one out.
Google Fi, a phone plan by Google. With our privacy and security features, a built-in VPN protection.
This is another video of a boat going over the horizon.
And again, on these particular types of videos where it shows the boat going over the edge, it's always a cloudy, foggy, atmospherically dense day. And it's usually cameras that take videos. Look at this poor quality video. It's terrible. I mean, even this close, it's so blurry and so terrible that you cannot. High quality cameras today that you can zoom really, really far out are the ones they're using to show that the boats are still right there. I'll show you some video clips where they zoom way out and still see the boat. After it disappears over the edge, you can zoom way out and see this boat. It's still there. So these videos like this one right here, terrible camera, terrible day weather, and it's a bad video quality.
Bay. It is sped up by a factor of 10 after using image stabilization software. The raw footage is linked in the description. It shows a ferry going under the Richmond-San Rafael Bridge and out to Vallejo, I think. I filmed it from Pier 14 at a height of about 6 meters above the water. The distance to the ferry when it finally disappears is about 12 miles. The fact that the boat disappears behind the horizon from the bottom up is evidence consistent with the curved Earth hypothesis and inconsistent with the flat Earth hypothesis.
Now, you can show 100 videos of boats disappearing over the edge, and all you got to do is show one video that you can zoom right in and catch that boat and see it's still there, and all those videos are just debunked. I mean, you can go and see these kinds of videos on YouTube where it's going over the edge. There's hundreds of videos showing the boat going over the edge, but there's just as many videos of them showing you that, hey, that boat didn't really disappear, and they zoom right in on it and you can see that it's right on top of the water. So this one is showing you that it's going over the edge because it's a terrible video quality, very cloudy, foggy day, and it will certainly look like it's going over the edge. They always do when you got bad weather and bad video quality. So there it goes. It's disappearing over the edge. No doubt about it. I mean, I'm not going to argue that you can't make it look like that. I used to believe it. I used to watch them go over the edge. I said, I used to be a round earther. I'm like, dude, the earth's round. Come here, I'll show you. The boat goes over the edge. I used to call people stupid. I said, you're stupid if you think the earth is flat. And I used to be getting mad at people. The boat is going over the edge, you idiot. It's round. I used to say that to people. And then somebody showed me a video and said, just slow down a minute. Calm down for a second there, bud. Take a look at this. And they zoomed right in on that boat. And I could still see it. And I'm like, oh my goodness. Are you telling me I've been suckered this whole time? And so anyway, let's take a look at some more of those videos. I'll show you some of those videos now because we've been seeing these boats go over the edge, and there's a lot of these boats going over the edge, no doubt about it. Let's take a look at this one here. Get yourself a good camera, go out on a clear day, and you got to get off the attitude of, I know everything. People that think they know everything are like I was. I was a proud, arrogant, think I know everything, and you're stupid if you think the earth is flat. And that's what caused my blindness for so many years. And boy, was I the ignorant one. Now, let's do the calculation real quick. 4 to 6 miles out, you should not see these boats. Let's go to the calculator and calculate how far down, you know, let's just type in 10 miles here. If it's 10 miles out, it's going to be like almost 8 meters. 8 times 3 is what? 8 times 3 is 24. So you can see right here. Now that's 10. Let me do, I don't want kilometers. I want miles. I want miles. Okay, 10 miles out right here. Let me blow this up for you. A boat that's 10 miles out right here is going to be 66 feet under the horizon. Just 10 miles. Okay, you understand that? 10 miles. That's all it takes for it to go 66 feet below the horizon. So that means if a boat is less than 66 feet tall, you won't be able to see that boat in 10 miles. So let's say 5 miles, because he's going to show us boats right now that are only 5 miles out. And you're looking at 16, almost 17 feet. So the boat should be 17 feet below the horizon, and yet 5 miles out, you're going to be able to see that boat. Let's check it out and see if that's the case here. Let's see. That's 6 kilometers out. See, right now you can't hardly see it. I mean, that's not very far out, though. Let me go back here a little bit. Okay, right here you can't see it with the naked eye. But as it zooms in, you can start to see the boats. You can't see them right here, not with your naked eye for sure. Now you can start to see it a little bit. But the point is, look at this. You can see the very bottom of the boat, even 6 miles out, 6 kilometers out. You should have some of it covered with the horizon. That's the point. This thing is sitting right on top of the water, like you can see it right on the top of the water. You can't. You have to zoom in with a great camera lens and a good clear day to see that, though. Look at that boat right there. That's a little tiny little boat. You're telling me 6 miles out, you can still see the whole entire thing? Okay, it's supposed to be down at least 3 to 5 feet. That boat right there. That boat should be down at least 3 to 5 feet at that distance out. Yet you can see, that's a little tiny boat right there. And you can see the whole thing. So, you know, it's just, there's a lot of videos like this too, showing you that if you zoom out with a great camera on a clear day, that those boats are not disappearing over the edge at all. Take a look at another one here. Nikon cameras. I mean, you get a good camera. Today they got some really good telescopes out today now. I mean, they didn't want this one telescope to even be sold. It is so powerful. You could zoom right in on the moon's surface like nothing. And look at that thing like it's like you're popping a pimple in the mirror. Okay, let's see. Nikon. Let's see here. Flat Earth. Proving the Earth is flat. Let's see what this one looks like at 2317.
Escape to Great Wolf Lodge, your drive-to destination for family fun. Sure, there are water slides.
2317. Okay, let's see what this says here.
Number 6. Our next proof comes from our flat Earth friend in Finland with the YouTube channel Sexy, Hot, and Right-Shaped Flat Earth.
Now look at this boat. You can see the bottom of this boat. Okay, now watch. It's 16.8 miles away. That whole entire boat should be around the edge of the Earth that far out. We just showed you the calculator. That's 16.8 miles away. Now look at the calculator. Let's just do, we've only done 10 miles. Can you guys see that? Look, we've only done 10 miles out. Okay? Now at 10 miles out, it says almost 8 meters. That's 24 feet. But it's 16 miles out. So here's 20 miles. Here's 20 miles. I don't know if this thing's accurate or not, guys. So you have to bear with me. This is the one everybody's using. I imagine it's pretty accurate. 20 miles out, 266 feet below the surface. So that thing is 16 miles out. Now this jump right here from 66 to 266 has to do with how the rate of curvature. I don't know. But look at the next one. Anyway, the point is you should not be able to see that boat with that distance out there. This is 16.8 miles away, and you can see the whole thing. Now let's watch when you zoom in without the powerful camera.
Here she is getting some of the clearest long distance shots that I have ever seen. Using marinetraffic.com, our friend was able to track the distance to this boat to the amount of 27 kilometers, or 16.8 miles away from the camera. You can verify the distance by the fact that the large boat in the front is not visible when zoomed out. With an observation height of 0.6 meters or 2 feet, that puts a hidden amount of 151 feet. None of that boat should be visible. What's even more shocking to me is that the horizon should have been only 1.7 miles away. However, as shown here, the horizon is beyond 16.8 miles. Some have disputed this fact, but they are wrong. Look at the boat on the left, much further away.
Yeah, look at that boat on the left. It's even further out.
That is an even more distant boat.
Oh my gosh. Look, even further out, it's higher up. Why? Because the horizon continues to go out further and further and further and further. So the horizon disappears. It's invisible, really. You can only see as far as your eye can go with the density of the atmosphere. If you can clear out the atmosphere and see further down, the horizon would keep on going. It would keep on going and keep on going. We're limited by our human eyes, but this camera has a powerful lens, and it is able to see boats that are even further than this one. That's amazing.
Which is prospectively higher than the big boat in front of it, proving that the horizon was even further than 16.8 miles. So, what would the minimum size of the Earth be with a horizon that is 16.8 miles with an observation height of 2 feet? And remember, the horizon is actually significantly further than 16.8 miles.
Anyway, I don't want to get into all that. I'm just trying to show you some video clips that we didn't get to see earlier. What is this one? Calculation, flat Earth, proving the Earth. And I think that we might be hitting our first photo. Now look at this. This is propaganda coming up here. I'm going to show you something that they're trying to convince the masses is true. Look at this.
Ready for the weekend?
They're trying to convince you that this is the first picture ever taken, and it shows the curvature of the Earth.
On this day in space. On December 30th, 1930, the Earth...
In 1930. Now, this is a picture supposedly showing us the curvature of the Earth. She's saying this picture shows the... When I saw this, I thought they were proving it was flat. I'm like, wait a minute, did I hear her right? She's actually saying this picture proves the curvature of the Earth. All I see is a little tiny bit of a curve, maybe over here in the right corner. But is that supposed to be proof that the Earth... Listen to what she says.
Curvature was photographed for the first time.
The Earth's curvature was photographed for the first time. I don't see a curve in this. Maybe I need glasses. I don't see a curve in this at all. I see it's slightly angled this way down, but then I see a little tiny curve over here on the right side. But this is not what you would expect to see, an even curvature of the Earth. This is a terrible picture to prove a curvature of the Earth. I thought she was saying this proves the Earth is flat. But that's not what she's saying in this video.
This photo was taken by Lieutenant Colonel Albert William Stevens, who was an officer in the U.S. Army Corps and an aerial photographer. He also happened to be a balloonist, and he once broke a world record for a high-altitude balloon flight. Stevens took this photo while flying an airplane over South America. He used infrared-sensitive film that worked well for long-distance aerial shots in which the subject was obscured by things like haze.
Oh, Tony, we looked at those. I mean, David Waters asked, why doesn't the water spill over the edge? We looked at those scriptures in the Bible earlier. The Bible says God put borders to hold it up. That's what the ice wall is of the Antarctic. We got pictures of the Antarctic with giant ice walls. That goes all the way around. They don't fly that far down. I mean, there's nowhere to go down there. Yeah, that's what. Actually, David's asking some pretty good questions out there. Let's take a look at this. He's saying, so you're saying that the planes would crash if they hit the edge? Actually, that's what Admiral Byrd said in his videos decades and decades ago when they finally discovered the edge. They found the edge, and all the nations went down there and signed a treaty. And they stop people from going down to go down to the Antarctic. There's certain places they'll let people go for tourism, but it's off limits for the most part for people to go down, and it's a hush hush thing down there. Yeah. As far as have you guys ever noticed when they take off in rockets how the rockets always they go up, but then they immediately start curving? The rockets immediately. Why don't they ever go straight up? The rockets never go straight up because they can't get past a certain distance up there. And if you do more research, guys, there's Russia and America did some tests with nuclear bombs. I forgot what it was called. Does anybody remember what that was called? They did some tests. Oh shoot, it'll come to me later. Where they were trying to break through the solid dome with nuclear weapons, and they couldn't. And that's why Hillary talks about cracking the glass dome up there. Fishbowl, Operation Fishbowl. That's right, Operation Fishbowl. You guys want to look that up on the internet and see what that is? Yeah, it's crazy, man. I don't know about that equator business. I'm just saying what we know, what we can see with our own eyes is that the boats do not go over the edge. I'm just going to stick with what I see. I've never flown the equator. I don't really know about that. But what I will tell you is that those boats do not go over the edge like they're claiming. If you got a powerful camera, take a zoom out and check it out. It's still right there, buddy. So anyway, go check out our other video from earlier today. We did a Bible study on what the firmament means. The firmament that God put above us. It actually means a solid dome. And also, we showed scriptures that God put a border around the earth to keep the water in. And all those are in the Bible. All that's in the Bible. It's crazy to think that that's true, though. I mean, okay, let me ask you this. What's crazier to think? That the earth is flat and that we're walking on a disc? Or that it's round and it's spinning and that it's going around the side? I mean, to me, it's hard. It makes more sense that it's flat and that it's just sitting here and that, but we've been told all of our lives to believe something, and that's hard to shake it off, man. It really is. It's hard. I mean, what I've been told, we were lied about Santa Claus. We were lied about the Easter Bunny. We were lied about the Tooth Fairy. We were lied about everything. We go to school and see this globe sitting on the teacher's desk, and we're lied. I mean, everything's a big fat lie in this world, man. It's crazy. It's like the only thing that's really true is the Bible, what the Bible says. And the people do not want you to believe that book. If you knew that there were real giant skeletons in museums around the world that they show giant skeletons, and the Bible says there's giants, there were giants back in those days, that would prove the Bible right. But they don't tell you that on Discovery Channel. They don't tell you that on the Learning Channel, that there's actual giant skeletons showing that they were giant people. Giants, I'm talking about 20, 30 feet tall. They don't show you that because it would prove the Bible right. They don't want you to know. They don't want you to know the truth about the earth because there's a big lie coming. There's a big deception coming, and everyone's going to fall for it except for the people that believe the Bible, man. They're the only ones that are not going to be deceived by this alien race coming down to make peace with the nations and to set up a new God and to work miracles and all. There's some deception coming, man. It's going to fool the whole world. And only the people that follow the Bible are not going to be deceived, man. Yeah, you could say that, David. It's crazy, man. I'm telling you, man. It's almost like the Matrix and all these things that they're putting out in these movies. Some of it's true, man. Some of it's true. I tell you. If people knew how big the lies were, they would absolutely be shocked. That they would run to the Bible and say, tell me what the Bible says, because I want to follow. I mean, that's the whole point here. The Bible actually tells us the reality. And the sciences and schools and universities and politicians are the ones lying to us. It is crazy to think how big the lie is. It would shock you. People don't want to believe it because it's too scary. It's too scary to think about it. I mean, it's crazy, man. I didn't want to believe it either, man. I'm just like, man, I couldn't believe. When I started learning some of this stuff, I was like, I can't believe that they've been lying to the whole world like this. It's crazy. So, anyway, guys, we're all learning. We're all learning, and nobody knows everything. But I tell you what, the more I learn from the Bible, the more I realize how deceptive the world is. And I just want to be ready because we're all going to die soon. We're all going to face God. I believe in the judgment. I believe we're going to face God for our sins, and the only way to be forgiven is Jesus. The blood of Jesus can cleanse us. And I want to go to heaven and live forever, man. I believe my soul can live forever in heaven if I find Christ. I believe that path. I do. What else is there to believe in except for what they tell you on TV? You want to believe TV? I mean, a lot of people prefer to believe the stuff on television, you know. I don't know, man. There's something suspicious about that, you know. I don't know. I believe the ancient scriptures for some reason. Like, there's something true about those stories in the Bible that just resonate with me, and I can't shake it. I'm sorry, I just can't shake it. I really believe God created everything. I really believe that he wiped the earth out with a flood in the past. I believe that. I believe Jesus was the Son of God, born of a virgin. I believe that stuff, man. It caught me crazy, but I don't know, man. You can believe a whole lot of crazy things in the world. Why not believe something that sounds crazy but happens to be true? You know, anyway, guys. I love you guys. Let me see if I got any more documentaries on the flat Earth to show you guys. Maybe you'll like to see some more of those. Before I go, let's see here. Come over here. Let's go to my Flat Earth playlist. If anybody wants this playlist about the Flat Earth, there's a bunch of cool videos on it. Let me give you the link. Here's a bunch of really good videos on the Flat Earth. Where are you guys at here? There's my playlist of really cool Flat Earth videos, documentaries, clips, and you guys might like that. You don't have to go yet and watch it, but today we showed all three of these first ones. We did this one just now, the third one just now, but earlier today we showed these two on the far left. And let's take a look at this one next here. What is this one? This one's 18 minutes long. Watch this one with me here. Please listen to this video all the way to the end. I want to make some disclaimers about some things, some changes we've been having, some ideologies that have been flipped around. So I want you to pay attention to how I'm explaining how the devil is manipulating us and why I've come to the conclusion about what we've decided to believe lately. Okay?
I get it. You gotta bear with me on this. Would you believe the earth is flat if people that told you and did all the scientific research got their information from an alien behind a bush? Of course you wouldn't. That's what these scientists are being accused of. And I say that it's probably true that they claim an alien told them. But hold on. That's exactly how disinformation works. Because the enemy does not want us to know the truth about the earth shape, he sends in wacky, crazy nutbags to claim they got the information from an alien just so people won't believe them. Hello? Do you not get it? Please tell me somebody gets that. I'll say that again. If you want to cause somebody to not believe something, send in the most freaky, wild, upside down people you can to support that thing. And then when people see how nutcase these guys are, they're not going to believe anything that they say. So the video that I uploaded about the flat earth, although it is a true biblical thing, Satan is very clever to send in these scientists who have been fraudulent and claiming outrageous things about...
I don't know if that's the video I want to show you guys.
And obedient to his word.
Okay, let's look at a different one here.
Just our common sense, everyday perception of the Earth, it is flat as far as we can tell. It is motionless as far as we can tell. And everything in the sky is revolving around us as far as we can tell. If nobody told us otherwise, we'd logically assume that the Earth was flat, motionless, with everything in the sky revolving around us. And you can prove that this is the case as well, for instance, with the horizon. As you rise up, no matter how high you go on the top of Mount Everest, or if you go in a balloon higher and higher, we've gotten independent balloons have gone up with cameras, the horizon remains flat all the way around and rises to the eye of the camera all the way up, totally flat, and rises to the eye of the observer. So that's one proof. Now, if the Earth were a ball, no matter how big, the horizon is said to be the curvature of the ball.
If you were to go to NASA, it's all fraud, it's all fake. Pretty much everything NASA puts out is fraudulent. There are no images of Earth from space. Put an end to this topic once and for all, turn the Hubble round and show us Earth in real time, but they will not do it. They can't do it. It doesn't exist. Literally doesn't exist. Looking at these images of Earth, including the one they call the Big Blue Marble, which was released in 2002, I think. Zoom into it with Photoshop, you'll see where they've used the clone tool in Photoshop to take a picture of one of the clouds and stamp it in various places around the picture. They got lazy.
If the Earth is 25,000 miles in circumference, there must exist a curvature drop of 8 inches times the mile when you square the mile. 1 mile means there should be an 8-inch curvature drop. 2 miles, 2 times 2 times 8 is 32. That's 32-inch drop. 3 miles would be a 72-inch drop.
So you can see right here that the dropping is calculated. But David makes a very good point out there. Our focus should be on Jesus. And my response to that is he's right. And one of the things Jesus said, the disciples came to Jesus and said, "What is the sign of thy coming and the end of the world?" And he says, Be sure that no one deceives you. Deception is the biggest sign of the times. Brothers and sisters, listen to me. Deception is the sign that it's one of the biggest signs of the times. So we are being deceived by government, by scientists, by universities, by professors, by authors, by the educational system. I mean, it is crazy how big the deception is. And that is what Jesus told us to do. So it's not like we're involved with something that has nothing to do with the kingdom of heaven. The kingdom of heaven is about truth. And Philippians 4:8 tells us to focus on certain things. And the very first thing it says, look it up yourself, Philippians 4:8, it says, whatever is true, focus on these things. And if it's true that the earth is shaped in a way that these government officials and educational principles are lying to us about, we should make a big deal about it. And I'm not saying you're going to go to heaven or hell over it, but man, I tell you, it is important to a degree. It really is.
And this would exponentially continue. Here's the longest bridge in the world, the Danyang Kongchong Grand Bridge in China, 102.4 miles long. There should exist nearly 7,000 feet of curvature drop in that bridge. 7,000 foot curvature drop. Do you see it? It ain't there. Look at the horizon. It's flat.
It ain't there. He's cracking me up.
You can see in that dive shot that the inside camera, the horizon is completely flat.
Right there, right there. Now, see, sometimes you'll see the actual pictures come through and it's accidental, like this one here, where you can actually see the flat horizon. Oopsie, they didn't mean to let you see that.
Goes to the outside, and you got a huge curve. But when
and then look, you got a huge curve when he gets outside. I mean, this is how tricky it is.
And at some of the amateur balloon footage, some of it's lens corrected and it's completely flat. And others, like the GoPro stuff, the horizon will fluctuate as the camera spins and tilts. The horizon will go convex and concave, a lens effect. It's obviously not the horizon shifting every 2 seconds as the camera jumps. Yeah. And when it's still, you can see all the way up, totally flat. NASA is essentially Hollywood, and all the images that you think you've seen of a spinning ball Earth are faked. And all the amateur balloon and rocket footage that we've sent up there shows a flat horizon that rises all the way up.
You guys see that? Now, this is an actual amateur video of somebody going up in a balloon. You see how flat that is right there? There's the sun. Here's the flat horizon. There's a little face of a lion teddy bear showing you the horizon. And he just showed you the curvature that they show you from the other. Look at this one. Look at that one. See how they put a curve on it right here. It's the same exact distance up. Sun's right there. And it's a camera showing you the same. But yet, why is there a curve? Because the lens of the camera is making it a curve. That's pretty simple. Yeah.
And
see, there's a curve right there, and then he shows you the same distance up, but it's flat.
Amateur balloon and rocket footage that we've sent up there shows a flat horizon that rises all the way up, and that's impossible on a ball.
Humans, for the most part, don't have a clue. They don't want one or need one either. They're happy. They think they have a good bead on things.
Well, why the big secret? People are smart. They can handle it.
A person is smart. People are dumb, panicky, dangerous animals, and you know it. 1,500 years ago, everybody knew the Earth was the center of the universe. 500 years ago, everybody knew the Earth was flat.
Imagine what you know tomorrow.
The horizon, for instance, is always completely flat, and you don't feel any motion. So if you were just born today and looked out, you wouldn't assume that you're standing on a spinning ball. You'd assume that you are on a flat, motionless plane. So to assume that we are on a spinning ball is actually contrary to our common sense and our everyday experience. And there's also experiments that have been done to test whether we're on a spinning ball or not.
My question was, why, if it's a flat Earth, why couldn't you stand on the coast of California with a telescope and see Japan or Hawaii or something? And I think you know the answer to that. I'll let you answer that.
Yeah. You can't see an unlimited distance. The lowest layer is the densest and not transparent. So if you imagine like a hot, humid day, the haze over a road, all telescopes will eventually blur out in that same kind of way due to the air. So no, you can't see an infinite distance.
Is the Earth flat or round? It's round. Okay, now let's see. How do we go about proving that? Go to the seashore. Go to a seashore.
Watch as ships sail away. They don't disappear all at once. No, first, the bottom will disappear. See, the bottom of the ship is gone. Now we can see.
David's asking another great question. I mean, that's what I wondered too. I'm like, once you start learning a little bit, you got 1,000 questions. I'm like, okay, let's just say you can see the boat over the horizon, okay? Now, what about these other things? And I hear you, man. There's a ton of questions. But the more you read it, watch this stuff, and you study this stuff, there's an answer for every single one of those objections. The sun is going around like a pizza. And it's going around like a pizza, and when it gets away from us, we can't see it because it disappears into the horizon. And that's why it's dark over here on this side of the earth. But when it comes back around on the other side, it looks like it's rising up on the other side of the earth, but really it's just coming around the other side, and then it starts to get daylight. And I don't know if that's the question you're asking, David, but there is a roundness. The Bible says the earth is a circle, so it is a round circle. It's just flat like a pizza. And the sun would go around it in a circular motion, and to the point where it disappears in the horizon, and it's dark because we can't see it. It's too far away. And it comes back around on the other side, and that's what we get from our sunsets and our sunrise. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. If that's true. That's another great question. You know, I saw the answer to that, David. I can't remember how to answer it, though. I'll be straight up honest with you about that one. But that would be a great thing to have somebody explain to us. I would love to see that myself, to be honest with you. I don't have all the answers on it. I'm just kind of learning myself. But I know enough now that something's up with what they're telling us. And the Bible's starting to sound a little bit more trustworthy, in my opinion. So I don't have all the answers, but that's a great question. He's asking about eclipses. How do you explain that? And I saw somebody answer it one time, and I just don't remember how they did that.
Midway up, and then the whole thing disappears. Now, ships came back. They didn't fall off the table. So people realized that the world is curved. I mean, it's a big curve, but it's curved. So, the process of testing claims, the world is flat, the world is round, is what we call science. Now, if you have a claim that can't be tested, that's what we call pseudoscience. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary proof. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary proof.
Boats don't disappear over the curvature of the horizon. Boats disappear due to perspective. All you have to do is go to the beach, watch a boat disappear from your eye, and then...
Now check this out. This is another example. Watch the boat disappear over the horizon, and watch how they can pull it right back up with a powerful telescope.
And whip out your telescope, your binoculars, or your high-powered zoom on your camera, and you can pull the entire boat right back into view. Whole mass and all. Yeah, that's right. You think the boat disappeared? Just whip out your telescope, your binoculars, or your zoom camera. You bring the entire boat back into view, completely debunking everything Coy just told you. And here's my video proof.
conspiracies require extraordinary proof.
Imagine that. You can debunk the curvature of...
Now you can't only just see the boat. You can see the bottom of the boat. Okay, it's not like, oh, I can see the top of the boat way out there. Yeah, it's still going over the edge. No, you can see the bottom of that cotton picking boat as if it's like 10 feet away. I mean, that's what's amazing to me.
of the Earth yourself with just a simple zoom on your camera. Bye-bye, little boat.
The flat Earth? Well, that didn't stand up to tests. The round Earth did.
And you guys, come on. Everybody watches newscasts. You all use mobile phones. You all see airplanes fly around. You all go to see Ed Sheeran in concert one day in London, another day in Melbourne, Australia. This all depends on our fundamental understanding of the size of the Earth and its shape with extraordinary precision.
The way we teach science is you're just some empty vessel and we pour the science into you and then you regurgitate it on an exam. Because Earth, we know it spins once a day, yes?
Off to a great start.
So you spin, you know, when you spin pizza dough, it kind of flattens out. It gets wider in the middle. And so Earth, throughout its life, even when it formed, it was spinning. And it got a little wider at the equator than it does at the pole. Not only that, it's slightly wider below the equator than above the equator.
A little chubbier.
A little chubbier.
Yeah.
Chubby's a good word. It's like pear-shaped.
Yeah.
So, it turns out the pear-shapedness is bigger than the height of Mount Everest above sea level. Let me just so you understand. We've been fed a lie.
So this guy's a scientist trying to tell us the Earth is a pear-shaped now.
I want to call it a lie. We've been fed...
It's a point of view thing, I think.
We've been fed Earth has been misrepresented to us by...
Science!
Pear-shaped. Pear-shaped.
Science!
So they're all trying to figure out, is the universe spinning around us? Or
Yeah, there's actually a treaty that these nations signed. You can look it up on the internet. It's the Antarctic Treaty or something like that, where everybody's agreed to keep silent about what they discovered. When China went to the moon, supposedly, a couple years ago, on the dark side of the moon, remember, that was just recently, right? That's part of the big, it's their turn to get up there and make a big deal about, listen, these nations disagree about a lot of things, but the one thing they agree about is they don't want the Bible to be true. Can I get an amen if you heard what I just said? As much as China hates America and America hates them and Russia hates them and as much as all these countries hate each other and want to kill each other and all this business, one thing they agree about at the top levels is they don't want the Judeo-Hebrew Christian Bible to be true, because that means they all lose their power. They all will. Listen, what is that famous saying? Your enemy becomes your friend. Your enemy becomes your friend when you both have a common enemy. These nations all have a common enemy, and that's Jesus Christ and the Holy Scriptures. And even though they want to kill each other, they'll become friends to disprove the writings of the Holy Text. And that's just a fact.
we spin around the universe. They tell you. We don't know.
Now look at this. This is what you have to have so much faith to believe what they got written on this chalkboard. I always say that the scribbles that they write down, these theoretical principles, the theoretical mathematics, theoretical physics, quantum mechanics, string theory, and all that stuff that they put on the chalkboard like this, you have to have a great deal of faith to believe that stuff. Faith in what they're regurgitating on that wall right there. To me, it's writings on a wall by man. If I'm going to believe the writings of a man, I'm going to believe the Bible. Because that's what they're asking you to do here, is believe my writings. And I'm a man who wrote this. Let me tell you the reality of the universe. Don't believe the Bible. Yeah, because the Bible was written by men anyway. See the hypocrisy? You see, they say that why should you believe the Bible? Because it was written by men, but yet they're giving you stuff written by men. Can I get an amen? Is anybody listening? Hypocrisy. Don't believe the Bible. It was written by men. but yet they want you to believe their textbooks, their history books, their mathematical books written by men. It's just a bunch of hypocrisy.
We're looking at a bunch of lights in the sky. You're going to tell me that...
Now, guys, this is the real pictures of the stars right here you're seeing. This is what they really look like if you get a high, powerful, expensive camera lens and you look at them yourself. Totally different than what NASA's showing us.
That light and that light...
That's a star right there.
That's 250, 100 trillion light years away. How the f did you figure that out? And you learn.
Well, don't they have an explanation for that?
No, exactly. That's what you just said right now. What you just said now is what everyone's natural reaction. Because anytime someone says anything about space, you automatically think someone figured it out. You don't know the guy's name. You don't know the name of the experiment. You didn't look into it yourself. You just think when someone tells you, how far is the Earth from the sun? They'll say, 93 million miles away. Like you just, everybody relies on.
And this is my point about putting your faith in science, because you can't prove any of this stuff. Okay, there's very little to explain the universe that can be proven. It's all theoretical. In other words, you can prove that if you mix two chemicals together that it'll blow up. I mean, some of the chemistry is provable. If you take a light of fire and throw it on gas, that's going to pretty much ignite. That's scientific, right? You can create some sciences and shoot a rocket up into space. I'm not saying science isn't real to a degree, but they're using science to explain the beginning of the universe. Okay, you can't do that. And they're using science to take the place of God. They're using the science to tell you that you don't have a soul and that there is no heaven and there is no place called hell and all these things that only the Bible gives us the answer for. Science cannot answer these other questions. Where did I come from? Where am I going? How did everything begin? Science cannot answer that stuff. So what we end up doing is we end up putting our faith in what these men say. We have to believe blindly that the sun is 93 million miles away. We just believe, we have to believe, right? Because there's no way of proving it. And we say, well, somebody proved it. That's what he's making a point here on the video is, didn't somebody prove that? That's what we assume somebody proved it, right? We assume that somebody proved that light travels 186,000 miles a second. And maybe they can prove something like that. I don't know, but I have to put my faith in it because I haven't proved it and I don't know if it's true or not. So I'm at the point where I have to believe certain things. Now, somebody made a comment in the video earlier isn't gravity what causes us to stay on the earth? Well, there's another theory about gravity, and gravity is just another made-up theory. It's really the law of heaviness. Heavy things fall and light things rise. I mean, if gravity pulled everything down, why does helium go up? So there's this law that God is showing us about heavy things going down and light things going up. It's a very spiritual metaphor, by the way, putting in our hearts that there's a place down below where sin, we think of heaviness, we think of sin, we think of darkness, we think of going down, and that's everything related to hell. When we think of lightness, we think of freedom, we think of liberty, and we think of, purity, and that's the things associated with heaven. So this is the principle of why, people stay on the ground. It has nothing to do with what they're calling gravity, which is something you have to just simply put your faith in. You have to trust these scientists like you trust the Bible. There's no difference between me trusting in the virgin birth than somebody trusting that there's black holes out there and wormholes and whatever they're saying in quantum mechanics. Completely the same mechanisms in place. Faith. We are both using faith. I'm using faith to believe in a virgin birth of Jesus Christ. They're using faith to believe, the things that science is telling them. Same thing.
Someone figured that out and someone double-checked it. You're going on what you read. And right now, cosmology, they don't know what to do. You know what they found out? The cosmic microwave background shows that all the galaxies are on shelves lined up to us. That we're at the center. They don't know what to think about. There's a lot of controversy going on about it.
You should see the stars do all sorts of strange motions, but you don't. You only see them make these perfect circles. That tells me that it's the stars that are moving, not the Earth.
The Copernicus principle, the one that we live by, is that we're insignificant, we mean nothing, we're a speck in the universe. That's the heliocentric model, that we go around the sun. The geocentric model means that everything goes around us. That's what this is in the Bible. That's what the first astronomers were saying. Ptolemy was the first one to say, yeah, we are the center. You can tell based on these observations, everything's revolving around us.
Earth is the center of the universe, and we stand still, and the universe spins around us.
You know what? They've lied so much, NASA's lied so much, that I don't believe they see it.
Heliocentric model's in trouble. Watch as the sunlight shrinks and follows the sun. It's definitely a locally illuminating sun, not far away, not very big, and definitely not 93 million miles away.
There's a place in Bolivia called Salar del Uyuni, which is a salt flat. It's literally 100 miles wide one way and 80 miles across. And it's perfectly flat. And when it rains, literally you get an inch of water and it looks like a perfect mirror. Now, how does that happen on a sphere? Yeah, it shows you that, you know, if you're one end of this salt flat, you can see perfectly clearly the other end 100 miles away. So it's just showing you that, you know, the Earth is flat. And
so, yeah, David's asking another good question. Why is the hot sun, why is it hotter at the equator? And it has something to do with the sun spinning in that area. And in the winter, it rotates. It has something to do with the sun. Let me see if I can articulate this. It made sense when he explained it to me. The sun does not travel very far away from that area. So when it's going around, the sun is always close to that area, and it's farther away from the North and South poles. When I say South Pole, I mean the Antarctic wall. The sun never gets out to the wall, and it never gets into the center. That's why they're... You see what I'm saying? So if the sun is spinning around in a circle, it's never going to come to the very middle, and that's the North Pole where there's always ice. And it's never going to go to the outer edge of the wall way, way out, so that's why there's always ice there. So the sun is literally kind of spinning at the equator, if you will, and that's why it's always the warmest. There's never snow in that area, and that makes perfect sense. I hope that makes sense to you guys.
Without the effect of the waves in the sea, you'll be able to see a whole lot further. I took a picture across the Great Lakes from Michigan and was able to see, I believe it was Chicago, which he shouldn't have been able to see. And the television station basically said it was a mirage.
Found this photo, Randmere State Park. This is from Joshua Nowicki, and what you're seeing here is a mirage. We typically would not be able to see this.
Well, if you think about it, David, on one side of the circle, the sun's going to be only on one side of the circle at a time. So if the Earth is a disk and it's spinning around, when it's down here on this side, the other side's going to be dark. Does that make sense? And even though the sun stays on that path around that area, keeping it warm, once it's on this side, it's light, and on the other side, it's dark. So that's why you still see night and day, because it's on the other side. I hope that makes sense.
from the Lake Michigan shore. We talked about this last night. Conditions are right on the lake that we're actually seeing a mirage of the Chicago skyline. Very interesting. Here's what's happening. This is a good example of a superior mirage. So Joshua was on the Lake Michigan shore. He was looking towards the west, and Chicago's beyond the horizon.
If anybody knows about mirages, they turn things upside down. They don't leave things perfectly in line like a structure. Mirages are very blurry and upside down images of the very thing that it's representing. So the picture of Chicago on the side of Michigan, where I'm in Michigan, and we've always heard about people seeing Chicago on the other side. There's always been this big debate. No, the earth is curved, you can't see it. But there's been plenty of people in Michigan who've taken pictures of Chicago 60 miles away from Benton Harbor, St. Joe, and you can see in good weather, clear weather, and a good powerful lens, you can see. You should not be able to see Chicago, the highest building, 60 miles away, but you can. Okay, but would the nights on the equator be shorter then? You know, that's a good question. You got a lot of really good questions. I wish I could answer more and more for you. I'm just learning myself, David. But what I've learned so far has gotten my curiosity up so much that I'm starting to really lean into doing more research on this whole thing and keeping an open mind about it. So just be open about, because God will show you more and more if you have more questions about it. He's asking some really good questions. I can't even answer them all.
Not be able to see it. However, with the right conditions, we have an inversion. We have cold air near the cold lake water and some relatively warmer air above it. This will bend the image of that skyline back towards the viewer. And so typically we would not be able to see this. This image would be viewable from much, much higher in the sky.
They always say it's a mirage, but for a mirage to happen, you have to have very specific atmospheric conditions. You know, it's not a mirage, it's simply that you're looking across a plain.
Yeah, you know what? That's because the sun does not stay, from what I've learned on the videos that I've seen, guys, the sun does not stay on the same exact path. Sometimes it's wider and sometimes it's smaller. Think of it this way. And it doesn't, in the winter for America to go through, when our daylights get bigger and bigger, that means the sun is more visible to us on its path. When we get shorter nights, when we get more darkness, the sun is at a further rotation away, so that it's not as visible, and we're only seeing a little bit of the rotation. So the nights are longer for us, and then the earth starts to rotate closer and closer towards us. The days get brighter and brighter. You can see on the horizon where the sun comes up a little bit different spot each time. That's because the sun is not staying on a perfectly circular orbit. It's moving a little bit each day. And that's what's causing the longer daylights and the longer nighttime, because the sun is not staying on the same exact orbit.
Now, how come in all these ball pictures, man, you can see all the continents pretty much, and there's just a little bit of clouds here and there. Man, it's like some of these pictures, like there's some where they show the Earth at night and you can see all the lights and stuff. It's like, you're telling me the entire continent didn't have clouds? The entire continent, like, you can see Africa and all these lights and all this stuff. Like, you know, if you turn on your porch light, I guess you can see it from space, apparently. And it's like there's no clouds in some of these pictures.
And they spelled out the word sex, right, recently, probably a few months ago in one of the clouds.
But, you know, if they do their research, they say, well, those are composites. And I said, well, how come they copy and paste the clouds on some of these? And they use the same platform. Like, if you're going to make a composite, but you shouldn't be copying and pasting clouds. That means you're adding stuff that's not real.
Yeah, and the thing is, those pictures that you're talking about, the blue marble pictures, you know, I think there's about maybe 8 to 10 of them over time that NASA has put out, and you're absolutely right. None of those pictures look the same. The color of the water is different. Like you said, the continents are different sizes. It's just unbelievable. And I think what happened originally was they would put these things out and nobody was paying any attention to it. You know, and then all of a sudden now, people are paying attention to it, and now they're pulling these pictures in.
Somebody's asking about the moon, and don't you find it interesting that you always see the same face of the moon? Why is there a dark side? Because it's not rotating. Oh, they tell you that it's rotating one time exactly the same that the Earth's rotating, and that's why we see the same side of the moon. Now, well, if the Earth's not rotating and we see the same side of the moon, that means the moon is not rotating also. And the Bible talks about the face of the moon. It's always facing us because the moon is a source of light. If you study the light of the moon, it's actually colder in the shade. No. How does that go? The moonlight is actually colder than it's... How does that go with the moonlight? The moonlight gives off its own light. It doesn't reflect the sun. And the Bible tells us that they're both created to give off their own light, is what it sounds like. So they both have their own light source. And we're told by science that the moon is just reflecting the sun. That's not true. The moon is actually giving off its own light. And we always see the same side of the moon. Probably we always see the same side of the sun as well. And they're not really balls. They're just facing us and they're shining down upon us. That's an interesting question. Yeah. You can do some searches on YouTube and look at some of the videos that people have measured the temperature of the moonlight. And it's something like in the shade, it's warmer than not in the shade. I can't remember which way it goes. But the moonlight is actually colder in the... I forgot. I don't want to get you confused on it. But it's very interesting that the moon is actually giving off its own light. And there's a temperature to the moon they've been able to... with this little handheld temperature thing. I believe in sciences that like that. I do. And you know...
And it's an obvious fraud.
What?
And the thing is, there's supposedly tens of thousands of satellites orbiting Earth. We can't get any close-ups of Earth. We can't get a view of Australia with the buildings upside down.
And they'll look at you like you're crazy. But really, you are the sane one for asking real questions. They're the fucking idiots for just repeating school book. That's how it works. I was taught in public school, and somehow I was able to break free and free my mind. You know how I did it? I watched NASA rockets explode a bunch of times. Fly off sideways and not go to space.
Yeah, why, you know, I'm sure that they found out the hard way about some of this stuff, you know, flying rockets straight up, thinking that it's going to keep going, and then they hit something and then they blow up. I mean, that's a good point. Yeah, and keep in mind, every time you see a rocket take off, it goes up and it basically starts going sideways. It never goes straight up.
If you watch the trajectory of the space shuttle, it doesn't go straight up. It always goes in a curve and out to sea. The point is, they actually go horizontal. The space shuttle goes horizontal. It never goes any further up. It goes horizontal, very, very low down in the atmosphere. You know, it's still in the atmosphere while it's horizontal, so it never gets any higher. And it goes out of sight, not because it goes too high, because it goes too far downrange. And they have a plane that's mocked up to look like a space shuttle, it's a jet-powered aircraft. That's it. It's not a glider. It's an aircraft. And that's what they're fooling us. Taking billions of dollars in and giving us images and fake planes for that 10 billion, however many billions of dollars it is. What goes up must come down, and literally we have not ever seen anything that has ever gone up and not come down.
Okay, now supposedly this is, I'm taking it at face value. Maybe this is true, maybe this is not true. Now this is a guy, and there's been plenty of them claiming to do this. What he's doing here is launching a rocket with a camera on it. Okay, let's see what happens.
One thing I really want your generation to embrace is that the Earth is a closed system. We cannot leave the Earth. There's no place to go.
Rockets don't have brakes.
Okay, so you're telling me that it hit the top of the dome?
It literally stopped. All of that angular momentum from the rotation of the rocket and the linear momentum from flying up just stopped. No, it had to have hit something.
It hit something, right? I mean, so, I don't know if that's true or not. It seems to be in line with everything we're learning little by little. Seeing, we're putting the pieces together. It takes time to, to accept all these new revelations. Really, it's a whole world that's opened up to us. Once we start going down this rabbit hole here, once you start learning a little bit, it's very, very magnetic, electric, and attractive, and it draws you into more and more and more. What we don't want to do is just get to the point where we're going the opposite way, believing everything in the other direction, to where you start believing lies. I'm sure there's a lot of lies that are tied into the flat earth too, and the devil will use whatever to deceive us. I don't want to be deceived about anything. I don't want to be deceived if the earth is round. I don't want to be deceived about certain things if it's flat. The devil will try to manipulate you in both directions. And also, it doesn't matter if you think the earth is round or flat. There's going to be people going to hell on both sides. This is not what saves a person from their sins. But it is quite an interesting thing to see that there's such a deception in the world that every man, woman, and child is under this deceptive force. Why is deception so powerful and so widespread into every country, kindred, tongue, and nation about this one subject? Could it be that there's coming a bigger and more grand universal deception that the Antichrist is going to pull over people's eyes, that involves this universal deception of our earth and the universe? Is it going to be part of another level of deception that's coming yet? And I think that it is. I think that it is for sure.
What would have been hit? If it hit a solid surface, the rocket would have been destroyed, and most likely the camera too, so we wouldn't have the footage, and obviously that's not the case.
Kicks and deals. It's a long fly ball going back, and the ball shatters the sky, bringing the ocean itself down into the stadium. Oh, Simpson just broke this dream's reality wide open.
I know we have still not shattered that highest and hardest glass ceiling, but someday someone will, and hopefully sooner than we might think right now.
There it is. There it is. Operation Fishbowl. That's what it is. They have been trying to break through that dome for a while. Okay, you don't think the men of this world want to defy God? You remember when what they said about the Titanic? Even God can't sink this boat. And sure enough, God sunk that boat. And don't forget, in Genesis chapter 11, King Nimrod wanted to build a tower to heaven and make a name for himself. This has been in the hearts of men forever, to defy God. You want to put me on this planet? Well, I'm going to get off this planet and defy the living God. So, you know, these governments secretly have been trying to break through that solid dome, and, you know, surely that's what's going on. And we see it in the scriptures, and we see it in the heart of man, and this is called Operation Fishbowl. And you can do some research and find out that they were blowing nuclear weapons up into the atmosphere to see if they could crack that thing.
There's no place to go.
Although we weren't able to shatter that highest, hardest glass ceiling this time, thanks to you, it's got about 18 million cracks in it. And it may be hard to see tonight, but we are all standing under a glass ceiling right now.
People figured out that we were an enclosed system. The more advanced we got, it would be the biggest thought on our minds. That's all we care about. You could make a wildlife preserve 1,000 miles square. All people, you know, all human beings would do is just be knocking on the fence constantly, going, why is this?
That is absolutely true. If the mass majority of people knew this, it would point them to God. They can't afford to have this truth get out in the public. Now, the ones who do know about it are cracking their skulls, and they're obsessed with it. I mean, the ones who know about this absolutely are enemies of God, and they don't want the little people or the peasants or the common folk to know about this secret, because the Bible is clear about what it explains about the earth, the solid dome above us, about the earth being fixed, about different things about the earth being stationary. It's not moving. The Bible says all these things. It says there's a border around keeping the water in, and that's why the water doesn't spill out. And could you imagine if the world found out that the Bible was right? Not China, America, the CIA, the Russian intelligence, and all these governments do not want to lose control over the people, because the truth can set you free. When you have power over the people with your lies and deception, you know, you control them with your scientific truths, and it's a form of slavery, really. People are slaves to what they believe, right? They're slaves to what they believe. So they're kept in the dark about this reality, because it would give credence to the Bible. It would give credibility to the Holy Scriptures, and the governments around the world do not want that.
That's why are we in here, and so on and so on.
Why do you think that Truman has never come close to discovering the true nature of his world until now?
We accept the reality of the world with which we're presented.
Earth, 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 yep, 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 Earth, Earth, yep, 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 yep. Earth.
If you start here, and you go around long enough in the same direction, you wind up in the place you started from. Yes, Thomas?
Why don't we fall off when we walk underneath, Miss Sarah?
Because of a force called gravity.
What does gravity look like?
Gravity is something we can't see, but we know it's a great invisible force that keeps us all here on Earth. It's a natural force that keeps us all from flying off into space.
We were always told that the world is flat.
You are told right. Don't listen to her. I've been patient with you, Sarah. Lord knows I've been patient. But now your words have revealed you.
The law of gravity was discovered by Sir Isaac Newton in 1687. That's almost 200 years ago, Uncle Evan.
But there is only one law. The law of God.
What is gravity?
You have no idea. Okay, next question. Wow. No, here's the difference. We can describe gravity. We can say what it does to other things. We can measure it, predict with it. But when you start asking, like, what it is, I don't know. Einstein, in an Einsteinian answer, we would say gravity is the curvature of space and time. And objects will follow the curvature of space-time, and we interpret that.
Come on, give me the truth. Come on, DeGracio, tell me the truth, there, buddy.
As a force of gravity. That's probably the best answer I can give to a what is gravity question, or why is there gravity. That's the best I can do there. I think that's a good start.
See that back there? You're looking at a green room back there where they produce backgrounds for the NASA videos that they make. That's what that is. That grid is where they can put any background in the back of this man. So when they show certain things where man's floating and whatnot on camera, and besides, you remember that billionaire that just went into space? What was his name? Bronson. All he did was take his flying machine up high enough and fall back to Earth and create the gravity, the weightless experience. I've seen that on the Discovery Channel many times. You could take an airplane up really high and then drop, and your body will float in the aircraft, and you don't have to go to space to do that. That's all Charles Bronson did recently with his little space trip, and nobody really realizes it.
The world is round.
What?
You know how everybody believes the world is flat, like a pancake? Well, they're all wrong. The world is actually round, like an orange.
The world is an orange. And?
And? Well, that's it. It's a great idea. It's one of my best ones.
Yeah, but what kind of orange? Is it a navel or a juicer? What?
Look, just sleep on it. In the morning, the idea will come to you again, and you won't even remember where you got it. Get it?
Got it.
Good. I must say, I really thought you'd catch on to this a little quicker, Copernicus.
What? My name's not Copernicus. I'm Charlene Sinclair.
You're not Copernicus? This isn't 16th century Poland? Oh boy, I screwed up.
Think about that for a second. That's pretty interesting how the angelic forces can give men ideas in their imaginations and in their dreams, and they, like Sir Isaac Newton, like Copernicus, like Einstein, who changed our reality based on his theories. And now basically the whole world in their scientific physics and stuff is basing all their calculations on Einstein's theory. Where did he get that? Did it come from the dreams and imaginations that are passed down through the principalities, through the angelic realms, where God is sending a strong delusion into the world? God is sending a strong delusion into the world, the Bible says. Does he use angels to bring men these ideas? I would think so.
You repeat the same thing over and over again. You know, if somebody's resisting the concept, if you keep fucking repeating it,
watch your language.
Brain, since you were a kid, you've seen this image. But
watch your language.
You've never seen it from that point of view. But your brain has three-dimensionalized. Oh yeah, that's the Earth. How? Through repetition.
Let's just all get on our hands and knees and wait for a scientist or an astronaut to come along, or Neil deGrasse Tyson to come along and bestow upon us their knowledge.
Now, as you can see, this is the evolution meter, and I've put God, the creator of everything, on the right side, and evolution on the left. I won't change my mind, because I don't have to, because I'm an American. I'm dug in, and I'll never change.
Mac, look, you're wasting our time. You're not going to get us to not believe in evolution.
And why is that?
Because the smartest scientists in the entire world all agree that it's real.
I'm glad you brought that up. Mr. Reynolds, these were all the smartest scientists. Only problem is, they kept being wrong.
Oh, this is insane, you fool!
I'm a fool because I have more faith in the saints that wrote the Bible?
Yeah, because you just read the words of a bunch of guys that you never met, and you just take it on faith that everything they wrote was true.
And what makes you think what your scientists are writing is any more truer than my saints?
Because there are volumes of proven data, numbers, figures.
Have you poured through the data yourself? The numbers, the figures?
Well, no. No.
Oh, interesting. So let me get this straight, Mr. Reynolds. You get your information from a book written by men you've never met, and you take their words as truth based on a willingness to believe, a desire to accept, a leap of, dare I say it, faith?
Come on. Look, I mean, I don't even know how I'm supposed to respond to that. Like, come on.
I rest my case.
Matter tells space how to curve. Space tell. Did I get that right?
The science community is ignoring a lot of the things that we're looking at, and so normal people are going out and doing experiments. And one of the experiments has turned up an amazing fact that we've not been told, and it destroys the whole idea of this heliocentric system, and that is the moon. Now, you can actually measure the temperature of the moonlight next to the temperature of the shade of the moonlight, and you'll find the moonlight is colder than the shade, the opposite from the sun. So the moon is throwing out its own light, and that light is the opposite from the sun. Now, that tells you that it's not reflecting the sun's light. It's producing its own, and its light is different from the sun's. So, you know, the scientific community have not told us this, because they won't tell us this, because it destroys this idea that the sun is, is lighting up the moon.
Everyone knows, like, if you're in sunlight, it's colder in the shade, right? So if it's 100 degrees in the sun, it's 90 degrees in the shade. You go to the moonlight, especially in a full moon, especially if it's high in the sky, the moon is its own independent object. It is not reflecting the sun rays. The sun is its own object. Also, about the same size, which is, again, coincidentally, why the moon fits so perfectly in front of the...
David Waters, did you see that about the moon there? I don't know if you're still in the live stream. It talked about the moonlight. I was trying to explain that earlier, that the moonlight is actually colder when it's not in the shade. You think things that are in the shade is colder because you're in the sun. The sunlight's hot, and when you get in the shade, it's cooler. But that's the opposite with the moon. Isn't that pretty cool, huh?
The sun during an eclipse, we always thought it was a coincidence that even though it was 400 times farther away, that it was also exactly 400 times less diameter, which is why it fits. And the other weird thing about the moon, which everyone thinks, oh, it's just a coincidence, is that we never see the other side of it. It's constantly perfectly rotating, so we only see...
Here you go with the rotation thing I was talking about earlier. Okay, let's look at this. Somebody's asking why are the nights are... See, here's the equator right here. So the sun stays close to the equator even if it's off a little bit, twice a year. Twice a year, we get... the sun is going to be further away or closer. That's why we get summer and winter, right? But it's never that far away from the equator. It stays closest to the equator, even though the other nations might see a bigger change in season. The sun itself, when it rotates around like this, stays closer to the center part. That's why there's the warm equator. So it's going around like this. When it's over here, let's just say when it's over here in Australia, is this Australia over here? Yeah. When it's over here in Australia, it's dark over here in America on this side. So when the sun rotates back around here in Africa, then over here in South America, when it's over here on our side, when we see it coming up on New York, it's coming around this way. Here's America right here. When the sun's coming around this way and we see the sunrise in New York, well, it's dark over here in Australia. So that's why we have the light and the dark. And the winters would be because the sun is not staying on a perfectly circular trajectory. It's not a perfect circle. It'll rotate like this, and then it'll rotate like this, Well, when it's rotating like this, what happens on America's side? On America's side, we got more darkness in the winter. Okay? When we have more daylight, it's rotating like this, where it's more over here. We see more of the sun. It comes up quicker, stays up longer, and then it's rotating like this. And what happens? That side has winter. So that makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense. It really does.
Side of the moon, exactly one side. It's not like we have like a quarter of a degree every 5 years or half a degree here and there. It's always the same side. There are no coincidences when it comes to this system. It was deliberately built, but I think it was deliberately built to be detected. And I think we were naturally supposed to figure this thing out maybe as late as the 1970s, but the government figured it out first, and they have been spending a heck of a lot of money trying to keep it a secret.
Now you cannot deny that the United Nations, the map that they use is the flat Earth. It's like in your face. We know it's flat, and we're going to show you the map here, but we're going to still lie to you. This is an embarrassment. Look at the map. This is literally what they have on their map, on their insignia, on their logo, and that is absolutely the way the Earth is shaped, exactly like we just saw. So they're basically saying, yeah, we know the truth, but you're too stupid, and people are stupid. I mean, they can't really help it to a degree because they've been programmed since they were babies. Like, I didn't think I was stupid, but I was. I mean, because when you believe the propaganda, when you believe the lies, when you believe what you're taught in school, you don't know any better. It's almost like you're not really stupid. You've been played. You've been conned. And it's not that most people are stupid. It's just most people are unwilling to admit that they've been conned. They don't want to believe that they've been conned and they've been played and that they're too smart for that. So it's really a pride issue where people think they're too smart for somebody to pull the wool over their eyes, like I did. I was prideful, and I said, yeah, there's no way that they've been fooling me. I'm not that dumb. I'm not that dumb to where I don't know that the Earth is round. You know, I thought I was smart because I believed in the sciences, right? So I thought I was smart, and I thought I was wise because I believed the truth. I thought what I believed was true, but little did I know I was being conned and played, and I didn't want to admit that. So that's what most people are going through. But right here on the United Nations flag, their little logo here, that is the flat Earth map that you're seeing. And they know it's flat, and they don't care if they advertise the map right here, because people are mostly under a spell, and it is a spell. It is a big, rooted in lie that's so ingrained into society that they can go around and show this flag, and it still won't even faze people. And isn't that something, how the lie can be so big that you can get the United Nations to show you the real flag, the real map, and it's right in your face, and they're just punking us out, man. It's crazy.
When I look at the people who signed the Antarctic Treaty and all the nations...
Now, this is what I was telling you before, David Waters. The Antarctic Treaty is a bunch of nations who otherwise fight with each other, but they signed an agreement about the Antarctic. Listen to this.
That were down there doing whatever they were doing signed a treaty, and I believe it was 1958 or somewhere thereabouts, saying, no, nobody can stake a claim to Antarctica, and if you're going to go down there, you can only go down there for scientific reasons under carefully restricted guidance. But it's not a free-for-all. Nobody can just, hey, I'm going to go check out Antarctica and do a high jump of my own. No, can't do it.
It's the only treaty that's all these countries have signed and never broken. And
now think about what he just said. It's the only treaty where all the nations agree. Where else do we read about a treaty in the Bible where everybody's going to agree? Think about that for a second. Does this have anything to do with the coming deception that the Antichrist is going to bring into the world? We keep hearing about an agreement that's going to be signed. The Antichrist is going to, all the nations. We read in Revelation 17 that all the nations give their power to the beast, and they all agree. Here's a treaty that no nation has ever broke with one another. that they all have agreed upon, and it's lasted for all these years and decades. Isn't that interesting? And it happens to be a treaty concerning one of the biggest deceptions in the entire globe. And it's a treaty that keeps everybody blinded to this thing. Isn't that interesting? Very, very interesting.
Completely agreed on. It's the only one. What treaty is there that everybody's agreed on? We're being kept away from it for a reason. They have some scientific bases there, and literally it's controlled by the military because they don't want you finding out what's beyond.
During 3 voyages lasting 3 years and 8 days, Captain Cook and crew sailed a total of 60,000 miles along the Antarctic coastline, never once finding an inlet or path through or beyond the massive glacial wall. So the other question is, well, how come ships don't go off the sea if it's flat? How come ships don't fall off the edge? Well, here's why you don't fall off the edge. It's a 200 to 300 foot high wall that is the border of the scripture.
Okay, now this is another important thing to understand. Look at the pictures of this Antarctic. Every time you see the Antarctic, it's a giant wall like this. There's tons of pictures of the Antarctic with giant walls like this. Why is it a wall? Why does it look like a wall? Well, now it makes sense why it's like a wall. All right, now it makes sense because the Bible says that the waters of the earth are contained in the earth with a border around it. That's what it says in the Bible. We showed you the scriptures earlier. And that's exactly the reality that we're looking at.
This is keeping everything in. Nothing's going past that.
There it is. I mean, look at that. Why is it a wall straight up like that? And you can take your boat and and float along they've tried to go around the Antarctic like it's an island. And it takes them like 60,000 miles. What they end up doing is they end up going around the outer edge of the world, and they get right back to where they started 60,000 miles later. And it's like, well, yeah, that shouldn't have took so long. Well, that's because it's not a little island.
Because they don't want you finding out what's beyond.
Personally, I think the unconquered south face is the only one worth scaling. It's a 20,000-foot sheer wall of ice, but that's never stopped me before. Risk? Of course I'm aware of the risks. Thank you for your concern.
Here's the picture of the Earth from space. There it is. Since you were a kid, you've seen this image. But you've never seen it from that point of view. You've never seen that with your eyes from that scale of a model, that point of view, from outside of the planet's surface. Well, here's the first image that sold the whole thing. 1482. This is when they came up with this idea. We are on that thing. It's a ball. Hey, we should go to the North and the South Pole. We didn't do it yet. It's a ball. Hey, nobody's even jumped up high enough to see if it is a ball. We can't do that. We don't have planes yet. It's a ball. You know what? We adopted this whole model like 400 or 500 years before the airplane. 400 years before the airplane, pretty much. It was like, what, beginning of the 1900s? They went to the North Pole in the 1900s. This is 1482. Nobody went to the top of the globe, to the bottom, or flew up, or built a skyscraper. It's funny that we said that this is what we're in right now. This is what we're on before any instrument approved. This is the first time we actually had like an instrument of flight to actually go high enough to actually check out if what we agreed to 500 years ago was real. So if they were wrong after 500 years, the question is, would they tell you? Newtonian physics. Why objects move on a ball spinning 1,000 miles an hour while it's going 26,000 miles around the sun. Basically the model we accepted right now.
The sailor thinks that he's traveling around the Earth this way, when in effect he's traveling around the Earth this way.
They began flying it around the world from Abu Dhabi last year with stops in...
Now, this guy doesn't realize it, but this is exactly how it works. He's doing a newscast, and this is how the shape of the Earth is. Look at it. He's going around the Earth, showing you how they're flying and taking this tour or whatever he's explaining, how they're going from city to city and country to country, and how it goes around the Earth, and how the Bible says that God is looking down at the circle of the Earth. And it is indeed a circle, no doubt about it. But just like the man is standing on the surface here, that is the reality of the circle of the Earth.
India and China, then across the vast Pacific.
Does running around your neighborhood prove that the neighborhood is round?
I was an airline pilot for Delta.
Now here goes a very powerful testimony. You don't get many airplane pilots actually telling you the truth about this. Something about maybe getting fired from their job. But here's an airplane pilot telling the truth, what he sees when he goes up and flies, what the horizon looks like.
For 26 years, a pilot's primary flight instrument is his artificial horizon, which he has to be maintained level to keep from climbing and descending. From a cockpit, weather permitting, I could see hundreds of miles in all directions, viewing cities connected by roads across the flat plain as far as the eye could see. Nothing ever leaned.
If a pilot is flying around the curve of the Earth, then he should be dipping the nose down, and every 5 minutes he should be dipping the nose down to stay around the curve. That's absolute proof that a plane flies over a flat surface rather than a curved one. But I went to the manufacturer of the artificial horizon, and they confirmed to me that it's completely mechanical, nothing electronic in it whatsoever. So it's literally just a gyroscope that can freely move. That right there is proof to me that planes fly over a plane.
That's a good point. Somebody's making a comment in the live stream that when you look out of an airplane, that the windows themselves are designed with the kind of glass that bends the curvature of the Earth. Because I had somebody tell me the other day, well, I looked out the plane of a window and I saw the curvature of the Earth. And of course that can't be true, but what explains that is the glass they're using bends the horizon line, just like camera lenses can bend the horizon line and make things look curved that are not curved. Thanks for pointing that out. I didn't know how to answer that except to say that I don't know how to explain that to you, except what you saw was still not real. That was my answer.
Flat Earthers, it's time. We are going to destroy the Globheads' arguments concerning flight routes.
When you go onto the plane tracking software, you'll see hundreds and hundreds of flights over the northern hemisphere, and you can track those flights from beginning to end. When you look at any flight in the southern hemisphere, what you'll find is the flight takes off and disappears off the tracking.
And that only leaves why. Why have they done this? What's the point of this grand deception? I think Eric Dubay explains it best.
People are always asking, why do they do this? Other than the obvious profit margin motive, NASA being the biggest black budget black hole in existence, sucking in over $30 billion taxpayer money for the fake moon landings alone. Nowadays, hundreds of billions of dollars, and not just NASA, but RASA and all the other fake space organizations around the world giving CGI images for hundreds of billions of dollars.
You want to put something in context. If you want to do something with $3.5 trillion, you can do whatever you want. Whatever you judge to be important to the profile of the nation that you are trying to build and to sustain.
So by surreptitiously indoctrinating us into their scientific materialist sun worship, not only do we lose faith in anything beyond the material, we gain absolute faith in materiality, superficiality, status, selfishness, hedonism, and consumerism. If there's no God and everyone's just an accident, then all that really matters is me, me, me. So they've turned Madonna, the mother of God, into the material girl living in a material world.
It's all about making us feel nothing, so that we can be used. If everybody realised how special we all are, how unique every single life is, then this whole world would change overnight. We wouldn't allow ourselves to be used by this cabal.
I start from the supposition that the world is topsy-turvy, that things are all wrong, that the wrong people are in jail, and the wrong people are out of jail, that the wrong people are in power, that the wealth is distributed in this country and the world in such a way as not simply to require small reform, but to require a drastic reallocation of wealth. All we have to do is think about the state of the world today and realize that things are all upside down. Now, if you don't think, if you just listen to TV and read scholarly things, you actually begin to think that things are not so bad, or that just little things are wrong. But you have to get a little detached and then come back and look at the world, and you are horrified. Now, as soon as you say the topic is civil disobedience, you're saying our problem is civil disobedience. That is not our problem. Our problem is civil obedience.
I think all our society is run by insane people for insane objectives. You know, and I think that's what I sussed when I was 16 and 12 way down the line, but I expressed it differently all through my life. It's the same thing I'm expressing all the time, but now I can put it into that sentence that I think we're being run by maniacs for maniacal ends, you know. If anybody can put on paper what our government and the American government, etc., and the Russian, Chinese, what they are actually trying to do, you know, and what they think they're doing, I'd be very pleased to know what they think they're doing. I think they're all insane. You know, but I'm liable to be put away as insane for expressing that. You know, that's what's insane about it.
And someone else says it's flat. That's worth reporting.
Should we still debate whether the Earth is flat?
Like they used to think the sun went around the Earth. Everybody's, hey, that's scientist. Well, he's so smart.
Until other science refuted it.
Right, but back then, like everybody at that time thought that guy was smart. Why at this time do we think that the Earth goes around the sun?
There's an overwhelming science that the Earth was flat, and there was an overwhelming science that
you learn over time.
We're the center of the world.
You're just taking an authority's word for it, and all we're saying is be skeptical.
Sure.
And while you're being skeptical, there's a bunch of evidence that's totally against the mainstream version. And while you're being skeptical and looking at that evidence, you start compiling more and more of the evidence until you become like me, you know the truth. I don't believe the Earth is flat and motionless. I know it is.
There was a lot of things that I thought I knew that now suddenly turned out to be completely different. They can't just impose stuff on us. They have to tell us about it and wait for our consent. And silence is considered consent.
If the sun was 93 million miles away, you wouldn't see that. We see in perspective. That is, the horizon is at our eye level. And as things recede from us, they tend to converge to the center of that horizon line, to a place that's known as the vanishing point. The sun rotates around us and only appears to rise and set because of the way our vision works.
watch the following video without the preconception that the sun rises and sets, but rather moves further away.
The images of your world with curves or as a ball are CGI. You've seen those images all your life. They're paintings, they're computer-generated images, or a little of both. Anything with a curve and the Earth is a fake. It's a fraud. You have never with your naked eyes ever seen the Earth as a ball from space. You never have. But you just have blind faith that that's what it looks like.
If the Earth were actually a big ball, the horizon should sink as you ascend, not rise to your eye level, and it would dip at each end of your periphery, not remain flat all around, the horizon rising with the camera level and remaining perfectly flat, 360 degrees around.
All the ancient cultures from the beginning of time have depicted a flat, kind of enclosed Earth. So we have this flat Earth cosmology all the way up into the 1900s when a big push was made to live on this round spinning ball flying around the sun. They are basically placing us on a speck of dust flying through infinite space where it was made from this accidental Big Bang. And we really don't mean very much, and everything is kind of an accident, and it kind of leads you into this mentality where things are meaningless. It doesn't matter what you do in life, but the more you research, the more you'll find that you can't prove the spinning ball Earth unless you're suffering from cognitive dissonance and you've been programmed your entire life. All scientific experiments show that we're being lied to about what mainstream science is saying about the Earth.
If a pilot is flying around the curve of the Earth, then he should be dipping the nose down every 5 minutes. He should be dipping the nose down to stay around the curve. That's absolute proof that a plane flies over a flat surface rather than a curved one. A lot of people have these laser...
Real quick, somebody's mentioning the Book of Enoch, and we did a Bible study last week about the Book of Enoch because it talks about the rotation of the sun, the stars, the portals that it goes through and all this stuff. And there's a lot of truth in the Book of Enoch. Amazing stuff. But be careful. Last week we showed all the deceptive scriptures that mislead people too. So just realize, I'm just going to interject that real quick. The Book of Enoch is not an inspired scripture, but it has a lot of truth and cool things and really powerful scriptures about certain things that are very attractive and may have a lot of truth about those things. But I just wanted to let everybody know here to be careful with that book because it has a lot of really wacky teachings that the Bible does not agree with. So please understand that about the Book of Enoch. I don't want to turn this into a Book of Enoch thing, but last week on Saturday we exposed a bunch of it. So go watch our video from last Saturday and check out some of the stuff we pointed out. All right, back to this video.
The thermometers. Now you can actually measure the temperature of the moonlight next to the temperature of the shade of the moonlight, and you'll find the moonlight is colder than the shade opposite from the sun. So the moon is throwing out its own light. The scientific community have not told us this.
Mainstream science says that we can see the curve visible at 35,000 feet, but when we're watching an amateur balloon flight without a fisheye lens or a wide-angle lens on it, there is no curve to be seen. And basically, if we were living on a ball or a sphere of any sort, no matter how high you rise, you would have to look down to see the horizon. Yet when you take these cameras to 100,000 feet, the horizon is still at eye level. That's inconsistent with any kind of spherical shape whatsoever.
the others. They've got smaller gatekeepers for the flat earth that they've brought in to distort the message, and they give fake flat earth arguments, hoping that you'll reach them before you reach someone like me, and then you'll hear their stupid arguments saying that gravity's real, but the flat earth disk is constantly rising, and that's what causes us to, things to fall. They'll give explanations like this, which to any sound thinking person will totally reject, and then they'll totally reject the entire flat earth model based on these little bits of disinformation that are being given. 200 proofs Earth is not a spinning ball, and that's just 200. I came up with 200 because William Carpenter came up with 100 in the 1800s, and I wanted to double it. I could come up with 400 if you give me enough time and incentive. People are doing it right now.
Scientists vote that the Earth is flat.
Because it's actual, observable, testable, repeatable, natural science that we can do ourselves. The kind of science, in quotes, that you're getting from these figureheads is not observable, testable, repeatable, natural science that you can do yourself. It's stuff that they claim that only they can do with a Hubble telescope. Only we can take images, CGI images of fake planets with our Hubble telescope. You can't. Condemnation without investigation is the height of ignorance. And I think that, Einstein was right about that. I don't believe in anything, but I do investigate everything. I don't just take things at face value or take somebody's word for it. I want to know for myself. And if I can't know for myself, then I will happily be in the place of not knowing. They need to have some authority figure telling them answers, and they're going to believe that, and that makes them feel safe. But me, I'm the opposite, where I like to be skeptical, and I think everybody would be better off if they did that instead of just believing some authority figure that tells you you're on a spinning ball that was exploded out of a big bang and you're a monkey man that evolved. It's ridiculous, and it's obvious why they're doing it. They want you to think you're a monkey, a purposeless accident that comes from nothing, while they steal $50 million of your tax money every day. The motive is obvious. CGI images of fake planets with our Hubble telescope, but you can take a regular telescope and you can see that the images they give you are complete nonsense cartoons, and what it actually looks like is pulsating lights in the sky.
You know what it really looks like to me, and I've always said this ever since I saw the first pictures of these planets that they're giving. Does that not look like something underwater? Seriously. You ever seen something underwater, under a pool, how it moves, how it wiggles, how it's got reflection? That's what I think about when I see these stars or these planets reflecting their light. It looks like they're literally on the other side of water. See that?
Nope. Okay, that star is 700,000 light years away from that constellation. I was all into that. I was totally into it. I was super into anything space.
There you go. Now watch these are the real pictures you see of the planets, Venus, Mars, and so on.
Are you kidding? The Science Channel?
You see how they wiggle and they move?
With the CGI, with all those.
You see how that? Look at that. It looks totally like it's underwater. Totally like there's water in between us and that light source. And the Bible says there's waters above the firmament. Okay? Now, is that a coincidence or what?
CGI.
Look at that. You see how that moved? That totally looked like it was in water.
All those DVDs, BBC Nova, were floating in space, spinning around the sun, and the sun has got some gravitational pull on us, and we got the gravitational pull on the moon. That doesn't make sense. That's not science to me. When people talk about science this, science that, I go, explain to me how that is science. There's a force that's holding oceans, keeping it from spinning and flying off because it's spinning 1,000 miles an hour. But as soon as we get to a certain altitude, it's all magic. It's not science. All that's magic. Us floating in space, and we're being connected to the sun. It has this force that's connected. That seems crazy. And we're flying through the universe, and the universe is endless. Like people say, well, if the Earth is flat, where's the edge? Like, where's the edge of this universe?
We're the center of the world.
Understanding what reality is very, very important to me. I think it should be important to everybody. And I think the more that people become maybe perhaps what they call spiritually aware or awake. They're starting to see through things, how things have been manipulated and reality's been created for them.
If God forbid everybody came and started demanding answers, and once they can't provide those answers, people realize they are busted. It can't be a mistake. It can't be anything but the deception and control mechanism it is. Because people are waking up. And no matter how much they try to suppress this flat earth movement, oh, it's gonna keep moving one way or another. You can see it. People are waking up. So now, louder than ever, I can hear that clock. Tick-tock, 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 tick-tock.
In other breaking news, the world is round, not flat.
A strange message on Mount Rubidoux. The words Google Flat Earth were found carved into the Riverside Hill in letters that were 10 feet long. Police talked to the person who did it. He's not facing charges yet. One possible explanation of the message: some still believe the world is flat, not round, and post about it online.
So you can check with theodolites and telescopes and different methods, lasers, to see if the Earth actually does have that curvature. And it's been tested over and over again and found to have no curvature whatsoever. So I mean, even if they had the number wrong and it was 100,000 miles in circumference, there would still be calculable, measurable curvature that just isn't there. The only place curvature exists is in NASA photos and videos, and those can be proven to be CGI fakes. And the early ones were literally taken through a round window to make the Earth appear round. Literally taken through a round window to make the Earth appear round.
Oh, this is a shot from 130,000 miles out. I guess it's from approaching. It's from approaching the moon, looking back at the Earth. If that's the Earth, is that like another spacecraft?
No. That I have no idea what that is. It's some aberration on the film of some sort. Oh, those are shadows, I think. Or reflections, probably reflections that are just reflecting.
Run that back again so we get another shot of it.
Okay, turn off the camera. Your interview is done. I've given you all the time I'm going to give you.
Okie dokie. Good to meet you.
I don't say it's a pleasure.
Understand.
Please get your ass out of my house.
Okay.
And you came here under false pretense.
So basically, he was confronting one of the astronauts who claimed to be flying in space, and he had some footage from inside the spacecraft that actually showed the deception. And he got into this astronaut's house and was kind of posing as an interviewer and all this business, and then he revealed the secret footage, and the astronaut is mad and wants to throw him out of the house now because he's busted in his lie. The astronauts were all lying about that.
And I think you're an asshole.
Lying about going to the moon is a satanic lie of gigantic proportions.
I don't hit people, but you're going to be on the deck unless you get
I'm heading out. I appreciate it.
And get the hell out of the house. You'll get a gun and shoot them at them before they get out of the office?
We have a video camera running if you want to do it.
Right.
That would be great footage for us. See you later. In court, I hope. Want to call the CIA? Have them whacked. Where you put a transparency over the window and move the camera of the Earth and move the camera back away from the window. Turn off the lights in the spacecraft and appeared to be halfway to the moon when in fact they were in Earth orbit.
Huh, really?
Yeah, and they said it was the same way that you did it on Apollo 10. So we wanted to give you the opportunity to put your left hand on the Bible, to raise your right hand, to swear to God.
Stick it in your ear.
If you walked on the moon, we're given the opportunity to swear to God that you walked on the moon.
I'm going to give you the opportunity to get the hell knocked out of you if you don't leave me alone.
We found a very unique reel of footage that we have queued up to show you.
Yeah.
And it's from the mission. And to our knowledge, no one has ever seen it before.
Now, this is Buzz Aldrin. We showed you a clip of him later in his years. This is like 20 years ago or whatever, but late nowadays, he admits he didn't go. You guys saw that clip from earlier that I played. This is the same guy, Buzz Aldrin, the guy on the left. He's confronting him now. But at this moment, in the video here, he's denying it. But later on, Buzz Aldrin says they did not go.
And it's 30 years old.
And you want me to see this while you have me on camera?
Well, and to tell us what it is. That's correct. And you'll see this tape proves that.
Okay, well, I'm not interested in satisfying your suppositions when there's all this evidence that we did.
This proves, as you've seen, that you were using the window to demonstrate that you were halfway to the moon when you were
Turn the camera off, please. Turn the camera off. Well, you're talking to the wrong guy. Why don't you talk to the administrator in NASA? We're passengers. We're guys going on a flight.
You're a coward and a liar and a thief. Did you see shooting stars? Did you see the shooting stars?
Yeah, I'm getting to that.
Oh, okay.
But there's a lot of noise going on. So I don't know the results of some of the experiments they've conducted. The point is they can't get that far from here, and they're really in the protective confines of the Earth. They're really in the protective confines.
You hear what that astronaut said? You could tell he was put on the spot. He was trying to worm out of it, and then he says, well, they really can't get that far. We're in the protective confines of the Earth. That was an astronaut talking. You cannot get past the solid dome.
To the Earth. They're really in the protective
International Space Crew attempted a spacewalk outside the station. Here's a live look at the astronauts. Well, I don't believe, I don't think that's, yeah.
Where's their space?
So this is photo trickery and brainwashing that's got the world thinking that we're on a ball spinning around the sun with a magical force called gravity holding us on the underside of this spinning ball. It's all just brainwashing that we've received. It's pseudoscience accepted as legit science. But real science has confirmed geocentricity in the flat Earth. Flat Earth. Flat Earth. The best way to brainwash the whole world, to lie to the whole world about what the world is. In reality, we're not.
Somebody's asking about, did Soviet Union go into space? All the nations that went into space, like China a couple years ago, they said they went into space and went on the dark side of the moon. They took pictures of it. No one's ever done that, even America, right? That's all made up. The whole thing is fabricated and lied. It's one big lie. It was just China's turn to do it, right? So any nation that claims to go to the moon, obviously, is all part of the same lie. Absolutely.
The cosmic accidental sneeze, nothingness turned everything. This is quite obviously intelligently designed, this thing we're experiencing here, this life, this universe. I can't believe anyone in their right mind can look me in the eyes with a straight face and say, no man, it's all random.
Be open-minded about this. This is very, very controversial and difficult to get your head round. The first of which is the scientific method, something that the scientific community doesn't seem to use these days. But the scientific method is where a theory or opinion is put forward that matches what we observe. The other thing we have to accept is how easily our minds, once they've been programmed or given a world view, how easily those minds can be fooled.
I used to dream, I used to glance beyond the stars. Now I don't know where we are.
Dude, somebody's asking about Elon Musk's desire to colonize Mars. Did you see the car that they launched into space with the astronaut sitting at driving it behind the wheel, and how fake it looked? And did you hear what Elon Musk said about that? He said it must be real. It looks so fake not to be real. I mean, Elon Musk is one of the biggest liars on the planet about when it comes to, and so is Charles Bronson, who just went into space and did that first space travel thing with his the business they're launching. They want to do tours in space. All it's going to be is highly flown aircraft up into the upper atmosphere, as high as you can get, and then they will do what's called a drop. And they drop, and you become weightless, and you can float a little bit as it's dropping, and people won't even know the difference. And so it's just crazy how they're deceiving people. Yeah, Elon Musk, Charles Bronson, they all know they can't get off. Anybody that can fly that high knows that there's a solid dome up there. Okay, they're not going to spend billions of dollars on the technology and crash it into the. They're part of the lie. These billionaires. All these billionaires who do space programs like Elon Musk and Charles Bronson and all that, and Amazon Corporation who wants to do all these space things, they all know. But here's what's cool about it. There's a lot of money in it. There's a lot of money in that big fat lie. And they're going to keep on milking the public as long as they can. So that's what they're up to. Charles Bronson, Elon Musk gets subsidies from the government for his space project. He's getting money from the government to run a space program. You think he's going to tell the truth? Absolutely not. Okay, guys, that's basically it as far as this video goes. I just wanted to get back on here and finish it up. I forgot to show you some videos from earlier. Go and watch our other live stream from earlier today if you can find it. I don't know why that when we live stream it doesn't publish right away. Sometimes it takes a complete day before it publishes, which is weird. But I'm going to let you guys go. And I hope to see you guys tomorrow at our live stream. We're going to be studying some very important doctrine. Don't forget our live stream on the weekend, Saturday and Sunday. So tomorrow we'll be live streaming again. And I will see you guys later. God bless each and every one of you. I'll talk to you soon.